In this video, I'm going to be reviewing and testing this new Ring Outdoor Cam Pro. Now, this is one of several 4K cameras that Ring has recently come out with, so I'm anxious to see what that's going to look like since the 4K is new for Ring. I'm also going to give you some thoughts on this camera towards the end of the video, like whether or not it's worth spending $200 on. That's a good one. And I'm also going to let you know what you can do for free with this camera. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive right in. Alright, so I bought the plug-in version of this thing with my own money, so I'm not going to be biased to say anything good. There's also a PoE version of this camera that costs $100 more, but I elected to get the cheaper one. There's no battery and solar charging option this time, it's strictly plug-in or PoE. Some quick specs include a full 4K video resolution at 3840 by 2160 at 24 frames a second, and it gives you the capability of 10x zoom pinch on your phone. Now, they do advertise with words like ultra clear, crazy sharp, every last detail, stuff like that, so we'll see how that stuff looks when I show all the footage a little bit later, and I'll let you decide if those words are appropriate. Okay, so here's everything that came in the box with the plug-in version. I'll be getting into more details on that here in a second. The field of view on this camera is 140 degrees wide and 85 degrees high. They advertise low light sight, adaptive night vision, color night vision. This clip right here is in almost total darkness, as you can see. Still came out pretty good, but it's definitely not color night vision. I found the color night vision doesn't work unless there's just a little bit more light available. Now, luckily the camera is dual band Wi-Fi for 2.4 and 5. Now, they do say that this camera is built for anywhere outdoors. However, I'd be very leery about where you put the camera and be aware of where the direct sunlight is through the day. The advertised specs are -5 degrees Fahrenheit to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can easily exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit if you mount the camera in direct sunlight. Now, to unlock all the features like recording and storing videos, 24/7 recording, sharing and download videos, smart notifications, anything like that, you will need a subscription. Luckily, they do give a 30-day free trial subscription with a new camera, so that's nice. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the camera itself. There's really not much to it. This gray plate right here just pops off of here like so, and the base is just screwed onto the bottom. So the base right here in this position is for tabletop mounting, okay? If you want to move it to a wall, just unscrew it here and pop these little black grommets out right here, these rubber grommets right here. That's for wall, and this one is for ceiling. What you would do for a wall mount is put it in there like that and screw it back on, or for eave or ceiling mounting, it goes up in here at an angle. But before I screw that in there, I wanted you to see this little screw right here, and that threads into the threads on the gray plate, and that locks it in from coming off of there. So let's go ahead and move it to the top because that is the position I want to use it in, right there, and then just screw it down. So instead of putting these grommets back, they include a little cover, which, by the way, there's a little O-ring around the electrical plug right here, the USB-C connector. So just like so. And then if you want to use this cover that comes with it, you just fold the cord up like so, and that fits on there just like that, right here. And then you just screw that down. Also, while I got the back off, I wanted you to notice this little button right here. If you press and hold that for like 10 or 15 seconds and let go, you can do a factory reset. Okay, so on the front of the camera, we have the microphone right here, the lens right here, we have the status LED, and then below that we have the light sensor. Obviously down here we have the speaker, and below these covers in this area right here are the IR LEDs that come on for night vision, as you can see right here. And right here we have the bag of various hardware, and then we have our various paperwork. And last but not least, we have our power adapter. Now, this does have a nice long cord. I believe it's over 17.5 feet long, and it's rated at 20 watts. Now, if you haven't already done so, go to your app store and download the Ring app. Go ahead and put in all your credentials, Wi-Fi, email, anything that it asks for like that. Alright, so once you're done going through all the prompts, you should wind up with a screen something like this. If you had any cameras, they'd be in this area right here, like if you already have Ring. What we want to do is go ahead and set up a device. Security camera. I'm ready to scan. Now at this point, I would go ahead and plug in the camera, and then once you plug in the camera, you should get some noises on first boot up. After that, you'll have a blue light that's flashing. All right, so you should get a box here that says I'm ready to scan. Go ahead and click that, and we'll scan the QR code located on the back of the camera. All right, very good. It picked it up. Now you should get a box that says Outdoor Cam Pro detected. And I skipped past the part that it says, do I want to install it at home? I'm installing it outdoors. So here's the Power over Ethernet thing. If you go that route, there are several prompts right here for the Power over Ethernet, but that's not the one we're doing. All right, so we're going to go back to this page where we're going to select electric socket. We've already got it turned on. Outdoor cam is on. So if you want to give it one of these names, that's fine, or you can select a custom name, and we're going to call ours driveway. I have my password. Just go ahead and go through all the prompts. You'll see it's self-explanatory. If it asks you for any updates, go ahead and do the updates. So once everything's done updating, you should see a screen that looks similar to this. We have our camera thumbnails right here. We have 2 of them because we have 2 cameras available to us. And you can control the settings on each camera individually by selecting that camera. So let's get into our new one. You would tap this again right here if you want to see the live view. Now if you want to hear what's going on at the camera, go ahead and select that speaker, and that brings in the audio from the camera. Now if you want to talk back to the people, go ahead and select that microphone right there for full duplex. Here's a sample of the audio quality coming out of the Ring camera. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog's back. So once you're not in the live view, you have a timeline right here. The live view ones are in orange. Person detected is blue. It will also show vehicle detected ones right here. So it's nice that they label those. Now if you want to download a video, simply put the playhead on the video and then click more. And right here we have our option to download. Once you download that, it should wind up in your photo gallery. All right, so speaking of searching while we're here in the timeline, they do have a pretty cool AI tool now called Smart Video Search. You would hit this magnifying glass here to bring that up and continue on there. This allows you to use words like dog barking or blue truck in the driveway or something like that, so you can search through all your videos. Unfortunately, you will need the premium subscription to make that work. All right, so if you do happen to have the premium subscription, one of the cool things you can do now is pinch zoom the timeline. This allows you to focus on more specific areas, and also you can select timescale, and that will adjust the timescale, which basically does the same thing. Also, another cool thing you can do is because you're dealing with a longer recording, because it's 24/7, this time when you select more and download, now we have a new option here to cut out a segment of what you want. So let me show you some of the menu highlights. You can go into your camera, not on live view, and click this gear in the corner, and this reveals all your settings. Here we have a pretty loud siren. Now what this will do is you can remotely trigger the siren. If you get a person alert and you're not home, you can go in here and set off the siren, and hopefully this will scare off the perp that's not supposed to be there, because you can see somebody lurking around at 2 o'clock in the morning. Here we have our event history. That's basically the same thing that's on your timeline right here. And you can push these 3 buttons right here and download from here as well. All right, so your motion settings are right here. I'm going to need one of these called camera motion zones, where you can set up a grid where the camera is supposed to ignore certain areas. And this bird's eye one is very similar. However, it's only good for about 30 feet. Kind of does the same thing as your motion zones do, but I need more than 30 feet. All right, so let's come out. Oh, your motion sensitivity is right here. We'll be testing that here shortly when we do the backyard test. Okay, so Smart Alerts is right here. This one is how I was able to show on the timeline that it said person or vehicle or anything like that. Now another note on that motion alert one, if you leave the one on that says motion alerts, like the general motion alert one, you don't need a subscription for that one to work and send you an alert. Smart responses is actually something I like to leave on all the time. Right here we have our motion warning.
Hi, you are currently being recorded.
And you'll want to select device settings right here, and this will get into the rest of your settings. Now, video settings is a very good one to know where that's at. I do have it set for 24/7 right now. Motion auto HDR on off. We'll test that and see if it makes any difference at all. Smart video search. This is the one I mentioned earlier where you could search dog barking or anything like that. And we got infrared lights on for night vision. You saw those earlier in the night footage when I showed those lights on the front of the camera. And recording length I just leave to auto. Now I did call Ring and ask them what happened to the color night vision toggle that we had on the older model, and what about the adaptive night vision. Well, they said the color night vision toggle was gone and the adaptive night vision was now automatic. All right, so here we are at 10 feet right here. I've got the HDR turned on. Let me go ahead and turn that off real quick, see if it makes any difference. Auto HDR turned off. I'm going to go ahead and turn the auto HDR back on, and I'm going to leave that on for the rest of the video. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do a distance test. Again, we're at 10 feet, 20 feet, that's 20 feet, 30 feet, and here we are at 40 feet, and up on 50 feet, about 60 feet right here. Let's come on back. All right, so we're going to do a notification distance and speed test. We're on 5G, not the Wi-Fi. Let's see where I come in at and how long it takes to get it. Here's 50 feet right here. 40.
Hi, you are currently being recorded.
So it picked me up right there at 40. So now I'm going to go off to the side where the peripheral vision is and see how far it picks me up at. All right, so I'm over here on the side of the house, so it shouldn't be able to see me. Let's see where it picks me up.
Hi, you are currently being recorded.
At about 45 degrees, I'd say, something like that. Pretty good. This is the camera audio quality, and me standing about 6 feet in front of the camera. Here's 80 feet. All right, 80 feet away. Can you still even hear me and see me? I don't know. All right, so here we are at 10 feet right here. I've got the HDR turned on. Let me go ahead and turn that off real quick, see if it makes any difference. Testing at dark 30. Almost pitch black. We have a little bit of a light right over there. IR LEDs on. Distance at about 10 feet. Okay, in my case, I'm doing an eave mount, so I'm going to remove some of the soffit and put a piece of wood there so I actually have something to screw the camera to. Now I've drilled a hole in the center of the board so I can feed the power cable down through, and then from there I mounted the power supply inside the eave and ran the cord over into the attic and plugged it in there. Then I put the soffit back, I put the gray plate underneath where the wood was, that way I got something to screw to. Then I attach the camera to the gray plate and make sure you tighten that security screw. That's about all there is to it. It's very easy. Everybody's situation is going to be different. I've been talking a little bit about what you can do for free with this camera, so I'm going to go ahead and lay that out for you. You can still stream live video with audio. Two-way conversation still works. Basic motion notifications, not smart notifications, so no distinction between people and vehicles. Pinch zoom on the live feed will still work. The siren still works, which is very useful. Event history still works, but it will only show things like a motion event or live view started, no recordings, obviously. Night vision still works. So is it worth it to even use it for free? Yeah, I think it's pretty good for free. You still get your notifications, you still get your video, you just don't have any recording capability, so it's pretty good. Another note, the service has been super reliable for me, but the day I started working on this video was October 20th, and they did have a pretty big crash. The AWS servers went down and it affected all kinds of things, and Ring was included in that, but other than that, it's actually been good for months. Is this camera worth the $200 price tag? In my opinion, is it twice as good as the Outdoor Cam Plus they came out with a few months ago? No, I don't think so. It's a little bit better. The video quality's a little bit better. It's still not clean. It looks good on the phone, but when you put it on the computer, it doesn't look good. It looks grainy and just, to me, it doesn't look that good. The other one didn't either. This one looks a little bit better, but it's not $100 better. It's just a little bit better. So that's my opinion. So you can take that for what it's worth. There are some bad reviews on Amazon. I suggest you read those and ponder those and see if those are worth anything to you. Other than that, I do think it's a good camera, but I don't think it's twice as good as the other camera. I'm just going to say it that way. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Thanks for watching.